This is the Visual Bible Project, the Bible brought to life. Before nations were born, before kings ruled, before names were written in history, God spoke. He did not speak to armies, nor to cities, nor to the powerful. He spoke to one man, and through that call, the world would never be the same. This is the story of faith, of promise, of judgment and mercy, and of a God who keeps his word. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. By faith Abram obeyed, not knowing whither he went, yet trusting him who called him. And he passed through the land, pitching his tent, and building an altar unto the Lord. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land. The ground that had received the promise now withheld its fruit. The skies gave no rain. The land of Canaan fell silent beneath hunger. And Abram, still new to the call, still learning to trust, turned his steps southward down into Egypt, to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. But fear followed him on the road. As Egypt drew near, Abram looked upon Sarai, his wife, and fear spoke louder than faith. I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon, he said. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake. And Sarai was taken into Pharaoh's house. Yet the Lord, though unseen, though unspoken, did not abandon his promise. He plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Abram stood silent, spared not by his wisdom, but by God's mercy. And Pharaoh sent them away. The promise remained untouched, the covenant line preserved. God had guarded what Abram could not. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that was well watered everywhere. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. War swept through the land, and Lot was taken captive. Abram gathered his men and pursued the kings by night. He rescued Lot and recovered all that was taken. Melchizedek, priest of the Most High God, blessed Abram. Abram gave thanks to God alone and refused the wealth of Sodom. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. As the promise was delayed, Sarai sought a human solution by giving her handmaid, an Egyptian named Hagar, to bear children for her husband Abram. Hagar conceived, and her mistress was despised in her eyes. So Sarai dealt hardly with her, and she fled into the wilderness. God met her there, promising that her son would live. Ishmael was born, cared for by God, though not the child of promise. God appeared to Abram again, renewing his covenant. Abram became Abraham. Sarai became Sarah. God promised a son through Sarah and established a covenant that would endure through generations. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, as he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he hurried to meet the visitors, his heart sensing that this moment carried weight beyond the ordinary. He bowed low before them, offering rest beneath the shade and refreshment for their journey. With urgency and humility, he called for water, bread, and rest, treating the strangers not as passers-by, but as honored guests. Sarah moved quickly within the tent, preparing bread as Abraham himself chose a tender calf and oversaw its preparation. When the meal was ready, Abraham stood nearby as they ate, watchful, attentive, and unaware that this simple act of hospitality would become a turning point in his life. It was there, beneath the quiet shelter of the trees, that the promise began to unfold, a promise that would change everything. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. And the Lord said, "At the time appointed, I will return unto thee, and Sarah thy wife shall have a son." And Abraham drew near and said, "Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? That be far from thee to do after this manner. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. Abraham journeyed into the land of Gerar, and once again fear overtook faith. He spoke of Sarah as his sister, hoping to protect his life, yet placing the promise at risk. But God intervened before harm could be done. He warned Abimelech in a dream, declaring the woman was another man's wife. And God himself restrained sin, not by force, but by mercy. Abimelech returned Sarah untouched and confronted Abraham with the truth. Abraham prayed, and healing followed. The household was restored. The promise remained intact, not by human perfection, but by God's faithfulness. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, for Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken. And Sarah said, "God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me." And it came to pass after these things, that God did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, "Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest." And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and went unto the place of which God had told him. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, "Lay not thine hand upon the lad." And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah-Jireh, the Lord will provide. And the voice of the Lord came again, confirming what had been sworn. Because Abraham obeyed, holding nothing back, not even his son, the promise was sealed. His blessing would overflow beyond number, like the stars of the heavens and the sands of the sea. Through his seed, the nations of the earth would be blessed. The test was complete. The covenant stood unbroken, and Abraham returned, walking forward not only as a father, but as the bearer of an eternal promise. Thank you for watching the Visual Bible Project. Subscribe for more Bible stories brought to life.